I'm here to electrify the innards of my brothers and sisters in Christ with an instructional video on how to convert the godless. You may say, isn't it enough to oppress, deny, and abuse those who don't believe in the little baby Jesus? No, we must work terrifyingly efficient to save as many of the profane from their profanalistic ways so they too can convert the godless. The first step, finding somebody who needs spiritual saving. Luckily, I have somebody in mind. He is a Jew, doesn't make him a bad person, but he is going to hell unless I connive a Baptist intervention.
Johnny Baptist, one-man revival just for you. Don't be half a Jew, know Jesus, and be a complete, full-service, saved-again, completed Jew. What is this? What is this?
It's your opportunity to be born again, boy.
What's this about being half a Jew? My parents were Jewish enough to have been at Woody Allen's bar mitzvah.
Only Jews who've accepted the little baby Jesus have fulfilled their God-given destiny to become one of the chosen peoples. Third step, the apprehension of our target must be alerted by the words of our loving God. Gather together for the great supper of God so we can eat the flesh of kings and moneylenders and mighty men. And that was my favorite Bible verse. Satan's claws are deep into this one, but the fourth stage of our Christifying, a heavenly vision of the little baby Jesus.
Look, I'm sure you're a real nice guy when you're taking your medication.
Well, thank you, boy.
And I'm sure that Jesus Christ is a great personal savior for you.
Hallelujah, the boy's been saved. I can feel the blessed blessings from above.
Wait.
I'm going to start things in motion now.
Maybe you'll find somebody else to convert.
I, Johnny Baptist, do baptize thee in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It is done. Uh-oh. here to save you from the medicine of the faithless, brother.
That's not necessary.
Now for the miraculous miracle of all, healing of the little baby Jesus. Let the healing begin. Heal. 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 He is healed. Now that you're Christianized, you can start sending 10% of your income to my church. That's 10% pre-tax, gross income.
All right, everyone. Andy Hall. You just watched an old short of mine. Obviously, it's old. Maybe looked at some of the tech there, but still holds up, comedically speaking, I think. You're watching the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. What day is today? It's Wednesday, April 28th. What are the stories we're covering today? Oh, the private school. The private school that doesn't understand vaccinations. Trump company. A Trump-associated lobbying firm that's failing. Yay. See, new guidance from the CDC about wearing masks outdoors. Britain first. Yes, to all of you Commonwealth people out there, we're going to talk about how Britain first got to run around chaotically. They were pranked, basically. Britain first was pranked. And it all matters how much time we have in the show. We got a lot to cover today. We do the after show at 10 o'clock. It's an open room, so in case you want to come in, contribute, just hang out. We'll talk about whatever. You can see the link below to the show. I'm going to say hello. So yeah, so that was the video. I decided to mix things up today. And show up the old video and just get right into the show. I hope everyone's doing. Oh, and also at the very beginning of the chat, the first comment, yeah, I'm going to go with comment in the chat was by yours truly, and it's about a post I wrote. It's a real story from Louisiana about a state representative who wants to teach the good parts of slavery. I wish I was making it up, but it's 100% true. Like I said, the link is the first comment in the chat. Oh, I hope everyone's doing well. Let's see who's around. John Hudson, hope you're doing well. Kevin Chaos, I did start early, sir. I did start early. I'm always trying to find a way of working around the YouTube algorithm. That's what I'm trying to do. Let's see, who else is here? John Hudson just said, simply secular Dave. Working Dave. You're working a lot these days. I hope there's an ointment or salve for that, sir. What's up, Jesse Bear? Yes, I know what you're talking about. I believe I know what you're talking about, Tobin. Blazing, hello. And I think, did I cover everyone? Jesse Bear, Blazing, Wizard Pope, Spooky Bed here. I like the woo-hoo there going on. Well, like that. And Scott Duke, good morning. And Imaginary God, hello. Me, I'm around. Good. Maybe you Brits can set me straight on Britain first, but that's a story we're covering later on. Already did the video. Let's do some memes before jumping into our first story. What do we got going on? What my cat thinks he is doing and what he is actually doing. Yes. For those of you who want to know exactly how my cat adoption or our cat adoption journey is doing, I have gone on a Facebook group here in the Boston area and have sent a message. I haven't replied. I haven't gotten a reply yet about Mookie the cat. So maybe Mookie is still up for adoption. Maybe. I don't know. It's been the adopting a cat, it's very difficult right now, but I did connect with a Facebook group and maybe we'll be getting a cat soon, hopefully. All right, what's next? This is good. From the Babylon Bee. You know, I got beef with the Babylon Bee, to tell you the truth, not just because they're another satirical organization. Look, I've had other satirists come on. We've had a good time. We enjoy each other's work. But the Babylon Bee is kind of Christian. They are a Christian satirical site. But they do good work, too, at the same time. So here's one of their bits. McConnell returns to the sea. Very nice. And we have one more. Bringing it back old school. Me, depressed as fuck and unable to enjoy anything. David Bowie. Why, David Bowie? Why are you unable to enjoy the stuffed animals and the wee dog there? I actually saw David Bowie in concert back in the 80s, the Glass Spider Tour. The Glass Spider Tour? Yes, the Glass Spider Tour. It does sound like Andy and Mookie. It does sound like a good 70s pop group, indeed. Oh, surprised you're not covering the story of the Colorado police. You know, if I could just develop, I could just have an entire show, Jesse Bear, like an hour-long show every day about the police just doing bad crap. It's so frustrating, right? It's just so frustrating. I could do an entire, maybe 2-hour show every day about police doing bad crap. No, really. Everyone keep in mind that cats are an invasive species. I see. Yeah. Oh, they're referring to Andy's article. Yeah. The article I wrote today about the Louisiana state rep who wants to teach the youngins about the good parts of slavery. All right. Let's see what else we got going on. News story? First story. Miami private school citing false claims tells vaccinated teachers they can't be around students. This is completely 100% true. Miami private school citing false claims tells vaccinated teachers they can't be around students. Now, you think that's weird. You're wondering what's going on. It just gets weirder. Links to the stories are in the description. A school in Miami is coming under fire after it reportedly sent out a letter telling vaccinated employees they could not be around students, citing false claims linking the vaccine to changes in women's reproductive cycles. Let me say it again. Let me read this again. Citing the reason why vaccinated employees shouldn't be going back to school is, in quote, citing false claims linking the vaccine to changes in women's reproductive cycles. According to the New York Times, Leela Sentner, a co-founder of Sentner Academy in Miami, sent out a letter to staff last week. In the letter, Sentner reportedly told employees that they could not be allowed to be around students if they received the coronavirus vaccine. Pointing to a report she claimed that surfaced recently of non-vaccinated people being negatively impacted by interacting with people who have been vaccinated. So what's the over-under? This woman did her research on YouTube. What's the chances Ms. Sentner got her PhD in YouTube studies from some anti-vax YouTube channel? Oh, the story continues. Even among our own population, we have at least 3 women with menstrual cycles impacted after having spent time with a vaccinated person. Sentner also stated in the letter, according to the Times. In addition to those claims shared in the letter, Sentner also reportedly told employees they would have to disclose to the school whether they received the vaccine. In the event they did receive a vaccine, teachers would not be able to come back to the school pending clinical trials for the vaccine, the Times reported. I just want to say that there have been trials done on the vaccine. We've gone over this on the show many times. There have been trials. And that's only, and they can come back to the school after these clinical trials if their positions are still available at that time. So the teachers, the vaccinated teachers, after all the trials are done, I don't really understand what that means. In her head, I'm sure it makes sense. In Ms. Sentner's head, it makes sense that they can return to their jobs if they're still available. You got to love the private sector. You got to love positions that aren't unionized. See, and this is why you need unions, everyone. This is why we need public schools. This is why we need unions, because it only takes one lunatic who got there, like I said, they got their PhD from YouTube University to say that as an employer, I don't want vaccinated people working here. The letter follows a bulletin issued by the school on its website last month titled Medical Freedom from Mandated Vaccines. I got to apologize to all of you. This is a pretty heavy on the stupid story this early in the morning. Medical Freedom from Mandated Vaccines, which told parents, your son or daughter may not be able to attend their first day of school until they are fully vaccinated. While these regulations were established to help all children, the amount of unknown risks associated with vaccinations will have you seriously second-guessing whether this policy should be upheld. The month before that bulletin, the school's founders also had anti-vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. come to speak to students. The visit came the same month Kennedy saw his Instagram account taken down over his anti-vaccine advocacy and coronavirus claims. Medical freedom from mandated vaccines. Of all the possible Orwellian worlds to live in, I would have to say this is one of the most stupid versions of Orwellian dystopian presence in futures. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Brain bug. First comment I saw, maybe this is why I haven't had my period. That's right. It's being the vaccine. That's the reason why, brain bug. Jesse Bear. So these people have the logic that the vaccine is fake, but vaccine magically hurting the uterus of others from being near a vaccinated person is really, I don't know how that works either, Jesse. But once again, I'm sure the director, the owner of the school, has really coherent thoughts on this. All right. Well, Clockwork Rex, glad to see you. Yes, this is not funny stupid, sir. This is just sad stupid. It's Florida. That's right. Hey, Imaginary God says, I'm getting my second Gates microchip next week. Congratulations. I hear that it really does boost the 5G signal. Imaginary God. Oh, blazing. Interesting. The vaccinated guy got them pregnant. Possibly. It's more like ignorance. This is a good point, Scott, dude. If you're a parent and you're sending your kids to a school where you have an anti-vaxxer come in and talk to the students, you got to get out. You got to get out of that. See, and Jesse Bear, right? I had to scroll up to see this. They found a new BS reason to crap on women and science at the same time. Well said, Jesse Bear. Well said. All right. That was crazy, right? The school telling teachers who've already been vaccinated, you don't have to come back until all the evidence is in. I hear Dr. Dawkins is from Florida. I wouldn't be surprised. All right. So what are we going to take a look at? I think we're going to take a look at a video about the Supreme Court. Or should we do FBI, federal rights, the federal civil rights investigation? Let's do this one about Andrew Brown. And I'm just going to do this really awkwardly, just because I know you all love to see me do tech stuff awkwardly.
Breaking news from North Carolina, where the FBI, as we just said, is announcing that it is opening a civil rights investigation into the fatal shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. by police in North Carolina last week. The Brown family held a press conference last hour announcing the release of its independent autopsy report, showing Andrew Brown was shot 5 times, the fatal shot to the back of his head.
He was able to back up as these shots were coming into the vehicle. He was able to back up, turn the vehicle around, spin off across a vacant lot, and at that time he was hit in the back of the head here, and that is the fatal bullet wound that was described in the death certificate as a penetrating bullet wound to the skull.
Brown was killed last Wednesday as deputies were attempting to serve him with a search and arrest warrant related to felony drug charges. His family says that they were only shown a 20-second clip of redacted body cam footage of the shooting. Brown's son, Khalil, calling it an execution. A hearing on the public release of video from the scene is set for tomorrow morning. County police have yet to hold a public press conference on the case, insisting last night the body cam video does not show the full story.
This tragic incident was quick and over in less than 30 seconds, and body cameras are shaky and sometimes hard to decipher.
NBC News correspondent Katie Beck joins us from Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Katie, what did we learn from the family's autopsy last hour?
Well, Andrea, we learned that actually minutes after that fatal gunshot wound to the back of the head was when Andrew Brown died on scene. We also know that he suffered 4 additional gunshot wounds to the arm before that fatal gunshot wound. His family, again, calling for transparency at today's press conference, saying they were only able to view 20 seconds of that body cam footage yesterday. They repeated it over and over again before sheriff's deputies, but were not able to leave with that footage, and were not able to see the entire tape. So far right now, the longer this silence continues from the sheriff's department, it seems the anger grows here. There have been nights of peaceful protest here in Elizabeth City so far, but today's press conference was a little tense, a little different. The tone, the outrage, certainly spiking the longer and less we hear from the sheriff's department. Now, as you mentioned, the FBI out of Charlotte has said they are going to begin an investigation. That again raises the stakes in this case and will likely result in more swelling here, more outrage from people saying, why haven't we seen the full picture? We don't know what preceded this shooting, and we certainly don't know why excessive force was needed in this case. We're hoping to get some of those answers tomorrow when a judge makes the ultimate ruling on whether or not any or all of this body cam footage is released. Andrea? Hey, thanks for watching.
Well, there you go. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna say something radical here. I wrote this down. The police should not be the only ones to have police body cam footage. Is that a radical concept? I don't think it is. I don't think the police can be trusted with their own body cam footage. Police can barely be trusted with guns. They can't be trusted with guns, right? They can't be trusted with guns. And they certainly can't be trusted to be the only ones who hold the evidence of police misdeeds, of police breaking the law. That's absurd. Is that America? That is America. That's America right there. Having police body cams and then the police having editorial control over the cam footage. I don't know if anyone saw the video of the assault team riding up to Andrew Brown Jr. It is right out of a movie, a crappy, violent action movie. And I just want to point out, I read Malcolm Gladwell's book. I think it was either The Tipping Point or Blink. And in one of those books, Gladwell writes about what makes people do stupid crap. One is that you get all jacked up, right? Once your heartbeat gets to a certain point, once your blood pressure gets to a certain point, your ability to regulate your own actions in your own feels and your own thoughts decreases. So that's one data point. 2, if there are more than, if you have another cop with you, if you're a cop and you have another cop with you, there's a statistically higher chance of you using force when it's unnecessary. Once again, cop one-on-one with, a bystander, with a citizen, not as likely to cause harm in that citizen as if they had like 2 or 3 or 4 cops around them. It's a piling on phenomenon. Oh, we're talking about, hey, what's up, Theo? How you doing? We're talking about evolution, and I'm going to let the chat. I'm going to, though I do typically defer to Brainbug on these type of things. I will say that off the top of my head, off the top of my head here. So yeah. All right, this is the police story, Jesse Bear. This is the police story that I covered today, or that I wanted to talk about, is that the Fed's opening an investigation, and the fact that the police can't be responsible to be the only ones to have police body cam footage. All right. What's the next story? What did we cover so far? The school that doesn't want vaccinated teachers back. I wish I was making that up. And the Andrew Brown Jr. Murder. Is it too much to call it murder? All right, probable murder by the police. Let's do the next news story. Oh, wait, it's halftime show. Halftime show already? I guess it's halftime. We got to do a halftime show, everyone. All right. Something funny. Something funny? Something funny.
Batman! Hi, it's frickin' Batman! He'll break your back, man! I really hope you have a health plan. Either way I do. He's not just any rich kid. No, he's a rich kid who also knows karate. He's dressing up in his weird S&M suit and he'll flog you if you're being naughty. His parents are dead. His parents are dead. He'll punch you in the face. He'll kick you in the head because he's...
All right, that was something totally different. That was it. I love those guys on TikTok. Completely blowing up. They've done a number of really funny songs. I like to showcase them here on the show. I hope we get true. I do. I really do, Jesse, so that we have just it's crazy here in the States. Once again, every single municipality gets to dictate the rules on how the police act, whether or not cops can use chokeholds. Sure, there's some state level reforms going on throughout the country, but more likely than not, every town, every city gets to decide how police use force. It's nutty. All right. So next story. Let's do next story. I want to talk about Britain first, actually. I want to talk about Britain first. We got a couple of Brits here in the chat. And y'all might have seen this story right here. Britain first duped into protesting at hotels with no asylum seekers. Far-right group sent on wild goose chase as pro-migrant activists supply fake list, including Dorchester on Park Lane. So you can pretty much get everything. A picture says a million words, 1,000 words. I don't know. It says a lot. And you can just see that this slack-jawed, beefy fascist representing Britain first with his White Lives Matter. It's pretty much, it seems to sum up the movement. Let's take a look at the story. The far-right group, Britain First, has been duped into protesting outside hotels which did not contain asylum seekers after being supplied with fake lists, including the Dorchester on the Park Lane, London, and a pub hotel owned by an associate of Dumping Cummings. Supporters of Britain First last year entered hotels used by the Home Office to accommodate asylum seekers and started banging on bedroom doors and antagonizing asylum seekers there. They are now resuming these hotel visits and put out an appeal to members of the public to give them names of hotels where they knew asylum seekers were being accommodated. Pro-migrant groups responded in droves. About 600 people contacted Britain First and provided the names of decoy hotels. So Britain First means basically white Britain first. And I think you can make an argument that it's probably white England first. All right, I'm going to just throw that out there and people in the chat can correct me. So what they did was that they found in the past, they found where asylum seekers were being housed, and then they went to the hotels to bully them. Because that's all that is. It's bullying, right? It's terrorism. Pounding on bedroom doors of people who have just made it to the country, who are asylum seekers, that's bullying. And that is terrorism, to tell you the truth. If terrorism is using terror to achieve your political gains, your political ends, then that is terrorism. Story continues. Britain's first leader, Paul Golding, and Chair Ashley Simon put out a video on social media indicating that they had not realized that they had been bombarded with fake hotel names by opponents. Simon said they received a long list of hotel names from members of the public and had started to visit them. She could be seen holding the list. Speaking to the camera, she said, "When we visited these hotels, we were met with empty rooms. No illegal immigrants." Pro-migrant groups have hailed the stunt, sending the far right on a wild goose chase as a success. Yes, sending the far right on a wild goose chase. Definitely more positive than the far right bullying people seeking refuge in the country. Oh, hey, that's wrong. All right, let me try this. The Britain First hotel incident comes as far-right watchers report an increase in far-right activity at hotels believed to be accommodating asylum seekers. Although Britain First supporters visited some of the hotels on the fake list, they have also been visiting hotels which do contain asylum seekers. Police were called to one Nottingham hotel on the 17th of April when supporters of Britain First entered and went from hotel room to hotel room, demanding to know if the occupants of the rooms were asylum seekers and which countries they had come from. A bunch of lunatic brown shirts heralding the paramilitary, National Socialist group during the 30s and the 20s in Germany. They're just brown shirts. Britain First. All right, here we go. Be Not Be. Hey, what's up? Be Not Just Be. I'm glad to see you. Today, what day is today? It's today Wednesday. All right. I know you do a stream, B. I'm going to try to pop in either Wednesday or Friday. I'll try to pop in once a week over there. Hey, Sammy Jenkins. Good day, all. I'm here listening while I work on my website. Oh, hey. Well, it's good to see that you're here, Sammy. Sammy yesterday in the after party after show showed us footage of mice, of like tons of mice, like the mouse apocalypse that's going on in his end of the world there, corner of the world. Let's see, what else have I met? Well, there we go. Blazing Wizard Pope, racist, white, bigoted Brits first. Right, that's safe. That's safe to say. That's for Britain first. All right. I think I got caught up with the chat. Let's go to the next story. CDC. If you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask outdoors unless you're in a crowd. New guidance from the CDC. Let's take a look. But first, before we take a look, it's good to review one of the stories we covered yesterday, which is how the 6-foot rule for, separating yourself, social distancing indoors is more or less bullshit. What's much more important, of course, is wearing a mask and having proper ventilation. There was a new MIT study out that basically said there's no difference between being 6 foot away from the next person to 60 feet away from the next person indoors. Once again, being indoors, it's far more important wearing a mask and having proper ventilation. That being said, let's see what the new guidance is about wearing masks outdoors. CDC says people who are fully vaccinated do not need to wear a mask when they're outdoors unless they're in a crowd, such as attending a live performance, sporting event, or parade. People are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving a second dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines, or 2 weeks after a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson shot. If you are vaccinated, things are much safer for you, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said Tuesday at the White House briefing. If you are fully vaccinated and want to attend a small outdoor gathering with people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, or dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, the science says you can do so safely unmasked. Means you can go walking, running, hiking, biking outdoors alone or with members of your household, attending small outdoor gatherings, dining at an outdoor restaurant, attending a small outdoor gathering with a mixture of fully vaccinated and unvaccinated people. It goes on to say, and the risk is low enough that even unvaccinated people can exercise, bike, and hike outside and attend small outdoor gatherings with fully vaccinated friends and family without wearing a mask. We continue to recommend masking in crowded outdoor settings and venues such as packed stadiums and concerts, where there is a decreased ability to maintain physical distance and where many unvaccinated people may be present, Walensky said. We will continue to recommend this until widespread vaccination is achieved. The new guidance shows just how powerful these vaccines are in our efforts to end the pandemic, she said. So there you go. I don't plan to go to any packed stadiums anytime soon. In fact, I was just talking with my girlfriend the other day about maybe perhaps attending a Red Sox game. And, Fenway Park still has people socially distanced from each other. And I think that might be safe. I won't be fully officially vaccinated. I already had my second shot. I had that last week. And so, until next week, I guess. But after that, it's going to be a lot of beer gardens for Andy for this summer. Dr. Osiris, how much have I missed? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to check the set list here. We talked about the school who doesn't want vaccinated teachers. I swear to my fictitious God, I wish I was making that up. We just covered CDC masks, the new guidance on wearing masks outdoors. We talked about Britain first, getting pranked, being led on wild goose chases. Yes, that's the plural there. And of course, we talked about, unfortunately, the feds opening an investigation to the Andrew Brown Jr. shooting. So that is what we have covered. But wait, there's more. Let's talk about the Supreme Court and guns. We've talked about guns here in the States many times before. Let me plug my conversation with Professor Alan Lichtman, the author of Repeal the Second Amendment. He was here on the channel a year ago. We had a great conversation about the craziness of gun culture here in the States. Is it going to get worse? There's a good chance. It's going to get worse before it gets better. All right, let me see if I can do this little bit of technology. Like, it won't be flawless. There'll be awkwardness here. All right, look at that, huh? And Supreme Court set to take major case.
There's big news coming from the Supreme Court today, announcing this morning it will take up a major Second Amendment case. The first time in more than a decade the High Court will rule on the right to bear arms. At a time when the country is very clearly struggling and grappling with an epidemic of gun violence from coast to coast, this could be huge. CNN's Jessica Schneider is joining me right now with more on this. Jessica, what case are they taking up? What are they looking at?
Yeah, Kate, this is a case out of New York, and it involves New York's law that strictly limits who can carry guns in public. It requires anyone applying for a license to carry those concealed weapons in public to actually show what they call an actual or articulable need to carry the guns. And in fact, several other states actually have similar laws here. But the two men who actually brought this lawsuit out of New York, they say they gave good reasons that they needed a license, and they were still denied, they say. One of them requested a license for self-defense after a string of robberies in his neighborhood. Another man showed he had participated in safety training courses, but both were still denied. Now, the lower court here upheld New York's strict stance on issuing these licenses, but when this case comes before the Supreme Court, it could meet a different fate here because of the court's 6-3 conservative majority and the fact that the justices, several of them, have been quite outspoken in recent years about the Second Amendment. It was Justice Clarence Thomas recently who said that he believed the court now considered the Second Amendment, Kate, a disfavored right. We saw Justice Brett Kavanaugh say recently that the court should take up the issue soon after the court rejected a bunch of Second Amendment cases in the past year or so. And of course, all eyes will be on the newest justice, Amy Coney Barrett. She wrote an extensive opinion when she was on the Seventh Circuit that seemed to favor this expansive view of the Second Amendment. So the last big decision we saw from the court was 2008, and that was where the late Justice Antonin Scalia, he wrote for the majority, and it established this individual right to keep guns at home for self-defense. That was in the home capacity, this case dealing in the public. But even then, Kate, Justice Scalia said that the Second Amendment right is not limited, and this court will, he said that the Second Amendment right is not unlimited, and this case will look at whether states can stop these law-abiding citizens from carrying guns outside the home for self-defense. So it will be a big case, especially as you mentioned, Kate, the fact that gun rights, it's now at the forefront of the public discussion. We could see Congress take some action on this. So it will be a lot to watch as this really newly configured court that is now solidly 6-3 will take up the Second Amendment decision. First time really in more than a decade. Kate?
Yeah, Jessica, thank you so much for laying it out.
Yeah. So, of course, whenever there is a case brought before the Supreme Court, the court could make a sweeping decision on that particular matter. So it may not just, and because it's the Supreme Court of the United States of America, court decisions can affect every single state. 6-3 conservative court. If that doesn't keep you up at night, I don't know what does. Crazy. So yeah, I don't know when they're going to find out, when they're going to decide the court case. I don't know when they're going to be bringing it up to the court. I guess they're going to be hearing about it. There's going to be here, but you know, guns. It's one thing that I think even a lot of people who consider themselves skeptics fail at understanding guns and the effect that guns have on the psyche. And that's because a lot of the time people, smart, intelligent people, would rather have arguments that support their deeply held feelings than actually look at the data points. If you have a gun, you're more likely getting hurt by the gun than using it on an intruder or some kind of weird fetish fantasy of gunning down bad guys. Okay, next story on the list is about Trump PAC, lobbying group that has failed, that has imploded, that is no longer with us. Lewandowski-linked lobby shop is the latest Trump-aligned firm to fall. Turnberry Solutions, named for a Trump golf course, disbands under Biden. Single tier. Turnberry Solutions, a lobbying firm notable for aggressively advertising ties to former President Donald Trump, is no more. The firm, named for a Trump-owned golf resort in Scotland, becomes the latest shop linked to the former president to trim its sales or close its doors in the wake of Democrats' take over the White House and Congress. Chloe Lewandowski, I don't know how to pronounce that, who was closely associated with the firm and served as a strategic advisor, is departing, and the remaining organization will work under a new name. Jason Osborne, a 2016 Trump campaign veteran who founded the company in 2007, told Mother Jones on Monday. So they're closing up shop. But don't worry, what's left, they're still going to be doing evil. Osborne said he expects to retain most of Turnberry's lobbying clients as his renamed firm, Connect Strategy. He said he has plans to switch the lobbying registrations for those clients next week. One prominent client, T-Mobile, which hired Turnberry in 2018 with help from Lewandowski, while seeking Trump administration approval for a proposed takeover of Sprint, will not be represented by Connect Strategy, however, Osborne said. So it's too bad. The fascists are losing. You know, a fascist company closed. Whatever's left of that fascist company lost a major client. Not sad about that at all. About that at all. Did I just cover all the stories? I've been blowing through these stories really fast. That's what I think. Which is good, but does mean that maybe I should be doing Dr. Mordecai. Glad to see you, Dr. Mordecai. What if the King of England attacks us? We need more guns. We need more guns, big guns, and maybe rocket launchers. Dr. Osiris says, here in the UK, it's virtually impossible to get a gun, at least legally anyway. Shootings do happen, but they're so rare. They're always in the news. And when it does happen, it's a one-off, yeah. The streets I lived on about 9 years ago, twice in 1 month, and everyone was talking about it because it was so rare. Yeah. You know, one of the sad aspects about everything reopening here in the States, you know, schools, shops, malls, is the recurrence of, you know, mass shootings. It's going to be one of those. And if you remember what life was like before the apocalypse, before coronavirus, there would be a steady stream of mass shootings. I don't know what the frequency was. Well, you know, you have to ask yourself, what's the frequency of mass shootings and how many do we actually hear about them in the news? All right. So I think I covered everything in the chat. Stories we covered today. You know, I just looked at the wrong sheet of paper from yesterday. We talked about the school that doesn't want vaccinated teachers. The Trump company fell. We just covered that. CDC masks, new guidance on the masks. Britain first. About Britain first being pranked. The Fed's opening up an investigation on the murder of Andrew Brown Jr. and the Second Amendment. So I was thinking about that while watching the video on the Supreme Court, going over the Second Amendment case over from New York, and I was wondering how many evangelical Christians know what the Second Commandment is. Now, I know what the Second Commandment is. It's about graven images. Do not make a graven image, right? But I wonder how many evangelicals know. I'm going to guess most evangelicals know what the Second Amendment is, but they don't know what the Second Commandment is. And I'm willing to put money on that. In fact, what I'd like to do is go out with a small camera crew and just ask evangelicals what their thoughts are on the Second Commandment. Yes. Dr. Osiris says, I'm definitely going to have to rewatch this after. Got to hear that nonsense about the school. Oh, yeah, dude, that is completely insane. That is completely nuts. Let's do the funny video or the funny bit. It's a bit of stand-up. Let's take a look.
I haven't done shit. You're like, what about Zoom? Did you perform on Zoom? Huh? Has anyone sat through a Zoom comedy show? Oh, that's very exciting. That's like reading a transcript of fireworks. I'm not enjoying this, but that's technically it. What?
All right. Defending Zoom comedy shows. I've seen a few. Yeah, it's not the same experience. It's different. No doubt about that. A buddy of mine, Dead Air Dennis, who's been on the channel before, he hosts a few Zoom comedy shows. It's been very difficult for performers over the last year and a half or so. Gonna check out the chat. Right? Well, you know, here we go. Man on the Street with Andy Hall. That's right, Brainbug. What do you think about the Second Amendment? What do you think about the Second Commandment? Can you tell me the difference? All right, everyone. So we are doing, well, I am doing the after party after show, which is just an open room. You can come in and chat. I think I'm going to do it from 10 a.m. this morning to 10:45, 45 minutes, because I got stuff going on. I got this job that I'm doing, and I have to get ready. I have to do things. So the after party after show, the open room, is from 10 to 10:45 today. Link is in the description. Hope to see you there. And let's do a thank you video for my supporters and patrons and people who help me out. And I just want to say that when you do help me out, you help me out across all the social media that I do, and also with my activism. And sure, we could say about my job too, since my job offers such low, pitifully low wages. I was actually back from work the other day, and I was telling my girlfriend, the girlfriend, what I had to do for work. And she's like, "Really, Eddie? That's what you're doing?" It's like, "Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do for work. You know, keeping confidentiality and everything." But she goes, "Wow, how about that?" All right. I think all of those commandments are good because Jesus, of course they are, Dr. Mordecai. All right. I'll see you at 10 o'clock. Hopefully, possibly. We'll see. I'll do the thank you video right now.